My name is Julia Carver. I'm 34. I arrange flowers for other people's dream weddings, and I haven't believed in love for a very long time. At least, not until him. I met Luke in a bookstore, the old kind, with real aisles and dusty spines and terrible lighting. I remember the sound his boots made when he walked past me. Confident, not loud. I didn't look up. I was too busy pretending to read a book I wasn't going to buy. I just wanted to disappear for a little while. I do that a lot. Hide in quiet places. But then he turned around and said, "That book is beautifully written, but the ending will gut you." I blinked. No man had spoken to me like that in months, not since Marcus. And Luke wasn't like Marcus, not even close. He had this kind of gentle certainty, like he knew how to talk to people without trying to impress them. He smiled like he knew secrets, but didn't weaponize them. Wore soft grey, not black. Drove a truck, not a sports car. No cologne, no Rolex. Just calloused hands and a chipped leather wallet. And when he looked at me, he didn't scan. He stayed. I told myself it was just a fluke, a stranger being kind. But then he picked up the same book I was holding and said, "This author writes grief like it's a language." I didn't mean to ask, but I did. "Have you lost someone?" He paused, long enough to make it feel real. Then he nodded. "Yeah, my mom, 2 years ago. Cancer. We weren't close, but it still hurts." I told him about my dad, gone 6 months earlier, about how he never saw me get married and now never would. Luke didn't rush to comfort me. He just said, "Some people vanish all at once. Some vanish while they're still alive." I remember thinking, don't fall for this. Don't be that girl again. But that was before the long phone calls, before the "good morning sunshine" texts, before he started showing up outside my flower studio with my favorite coffee and a playlist called Julia's World, before I knew how dangerous it is to meet someone who studies you, not to love you, but to become the version of you you'll never resist. I didn't see the trap. Not yet. He made me feel known, not just liked, known. And when you've spent years being invisible, being known feels holy. The first time he stayed the night, he didn't even try to touch me. He just slept beside me, warm and steady, like a lighthouse in human form. I woke up and found him cooking eggs in my kitchen, using my chipped frying pan, wearing my ex's old t-shirt. He looked like he belonged there. And when I joked about how he might be a serial killer, he smiled and said, "If I was, I'd be the kind that brings you breakfast first." That line? I should have remembered it later. I should have seen what he meant by that. But back then, it just made me laugh. He told me he was between jobs, left his last company because it was toxic. He said he was trying to start something new, a startup maybe. Something that helps people heal from grief, he said. He never gave specifics, but I didn't press him, because the truth was, I was healing too, or I thought I was. I showed him the wedding venue I never got to use. He didn't flinch, just held my hand tighter. I told him I still kept the shoes I bought for the aisle. He didn't judge, said he'd probably do the same. He let me talk. About Marcus, about the betrayal. And I remember Hamid, him saying, "You didn't deserve that. No one does." Looking back now, that might have been the most evil thing he ever said. Because I believed it. I believed him. I introduced him to my sister after 2 months. She liked him, said he had eyes that smile. My friends said I looked lighter with him around. One even said, "Jules, I think he's the one." And I smiled, but my stomach tightened, because I'd said that before, once, and it broke me. So I promised myself I'd go slower this time. I told Luke I needed space, and he nodded. But 2 days later, I found flowers on my doorstep, a handwritten note. "I get it, but I'm not leaving. Not unless you tell me to." The handwriting was beautiful, precise, too precise. I kept the note anyway. You don't see a con until it's finished, because the whole point is to make you feel like you're the lucky one. It started with the coffee. The one he brought me every morning. Oat milk, no sugar, extra hot. One day it was almond milk. I didn't say anything at first. People make mistakes, but it happened again, and again, and then he laughed it off like I was being particular. You're funny when you're picky. That word. Funny. It's what Marcus used to say right before he'd make me feel stupid. It sat wrong, just like the way Luke's stories started to shift. Small things at first. He said he worked for a non-profit, then later said it was a startup, said he had no siblings, then mentioned his sister's dog had cancer. He brushed it off when I asked. Sorry, I forget what I've told you sometimes. But I don't forget. Not like that. I started noticing he never paid with his own credit card. Always cash, always slightly too careful. And one night, after we'd split a bottle of wine and he'd fallen asleep on the couch, his phone buzzed. Over and over. I shouldn't have looked. I know, but I did. There was no name, just a number. But the preview on the lock screen read, "You ghosted again? Come on, I need answers. I still have the photos." My whole body went cold. Not mad, not even jealous. Just hollow. I waited. The next morning I asked casually, "Hey, who's been texting you late at night?" He smiled like I'd complimented his shirt. "Just a work thing. You jealous?" I laughed it off. But inside, a little voice whispered, "You're not the only one, Julia. You never were." That's when I started pulling back. Not obviously, just small shifts. I stopped texting first, took longer to respond. Didn't ask how his day was. He noticed. "Are you okay?" he asked one night, his verification. I told her, check the court filings, because yes, we'd filed the civil suit that week and made it searchable. Then came the DMs. Dozens. From women. Some from states we hadn't even checked. I met him in 2019 in Boston. He told me he'd lost a fiancée in a car crash. He borrowed money for therapy and disappeared. By Friday there were 23 confirmed women, all with different names for him, all with the same story. You called it revenge. I call it a public service announcement. The Instagram handle went live, @TheScriptProject. We didn't post selfies, no trauma bait, just quotes, just receipts, just quiet, devastating truth. Then it happened. A viral TikTok. Someone with 600K followers did a deep dive, read parts of the site aloud, played a snippet of the audio, cried while talking about her own toxic ex. The comments exploded. "This is psychological abuse. He's a narcissist predator. What kind of man does this to dozens of women? Burn it down, Julia." And in the middle of the storm, he messaged me from a new number. "You really think this makes you look good?" I stared at the screen, laughed, and typed back, "No, Grant, it makes you look real." He sent one final message, a voice note, just breathing for 10 seconds, then a whisper, "I hope you feel better now." I saved it, then forwarded it to the podcast team covering our story. They used it in the closing credits of their next episode. And just like that, his story wasn't just ours anymore. It belonged to everyone who'd ever been lied to, gaslit, used, ghosted, and made to feel crazy for asking questions. We weren't angry anymore. We were architects. We didn't get money back. There was no courtroom applause, no arrest. But his reputation, shattered. His aliases were exposed. His face, blurred but unmistakable, shared on every thread warning women about love bombers and scam artists. The man who once said, "I give people what they want," was now the warning label women sent to each other in group chats. He built the lie. We built the bonfire. No one ever teaches you what to do after revenge. They show you how to scream, how to hunt, how to destroy, but not how to breathe when it's all done, not how to sit in the quiet and realize There's no more fight, just you, and the silence you earned. It's been 3 months since the script project went public. Grant, Luke, whatever name he's hiding under now, has vanished from every platform. But we still get pings. Women checking in. Women still figuring out that what happened to them wasn't just heartbreak. It was a performance. The class action suit is moving slowly. Amber's lawyer says it might take a year, maybe longer, but I'm not waiting for a courtroom to give me closure. I already took it. Forgiveness is a myth for men like him. I didn't forgive. I remembered. I documented. And I warned the next woman before he could touch her. About the second time we slept together, how he cried afterward, said he felt safe, said he'd never let himself be that open before. I believed him. But now, I wonder if those tears were part of the script, if he practiced that exact line in front of a mirror. Some people lie to cover things up. He lied to create something new, a world where I was the lucky one, and he was just damaged enough to need me. I started writing things down, memory by memory, like police notes. But for my own sanity, memory won. The first dinner lie, 3 weeks after we met, he told me his mom was in the hospital, said he needed to cancel our date. I dropped off soup at his door, but he didn't answer. Later said he'd been too distracted to come to the door. Now I realize, that same night, Amber had screenshots of him on a rooftop bar in Phoenix. Memory 2, the startup. He once asked me to brainstorm business names with him, said he wanted to launch a grief journal app. I gave him 4 names. He smiled, kissed me, and said, "You're brilliant." 2 months later, I found a PDF pitch deck with my ideas, saved under a different woman's name, a woman named Lacey. I don't know who she is, but I'm starting to think she doesn't know about me either. Memory 3, the almost confession. He once got drunk and stared at the ceiling, said, "I don't think I'm a good person, but I want to be with you." I kissed him, told him we all make mistakes. I didn't realize that was his test, to see if I'd excuse what came next. It's not just the lies that haunt me. It's how easily I absorbed them, how desperately I wanted it to be real. I think part of me always knew, but you don't burn down a dream until you smell the smoke, and I wasn't ready to lose it. Not yet. One night I went through my phone, looking for any photo that might show who he really was, but there weren't many. He hated being photographed, said he felt weird on camera, always ducked out of frame. In all our time together, I had just one clear photo of him, and when I zoomed in on his reflection in a mirror behind me, he wasn't looking at me. He was looking at the camera. He didn't fall in love with me. He learned me, memorized my fears, my rhythms, my softness, and used it all like keys to a lock. The next morning, I called Amber again. I asked her if she ever gave him money. She said yes, but not the way people think. It wasn't like, hey, can I borrow 1,000? It was slow, clever, paying for his Uber because his card was acting up, adding his groceries to my bill, spotting him rent once because the bank messed up his deposit. I froze, because I'd done the exact same things. I asked Amber if she had any photos of him. She sent me 3. In one, he's smiling beside her at a beach, his arms wrapped around her like they're married. Same smile, same shirt, same watch. The caption read, "My forever." That night, I went to sleep with a pillow over my head. Not to cry, but to scream into it. I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. Not my sister. Not my co-workers. Definitely not my therapist, who already thought I had trust wounds that made me attract unavailable men. Because this time, I wasn't spiraling. I was documenting. Quietly, relentlessly. I downloaded an app that records calls. I started screenshotting texts, saved every receipt he left behind, every sketchy email with a weird domain, every instance he forgot his wallet. I even kept the voicemail where he said, "I've never met someone who makes me feel this calm." This sure. I saved it, because I needed to hear how convincing he could sound, how he manipulated tone like a violin. He texted me again that week. Miss you. I needed space, but I never stopped loving you. I didn't respond. Not at first, but a day later, I sent back. I understand. I just want honesty now, even if it hurts. He wrote back within a minute. Let's talk soon. I have something I've been meaning to say. I stared at the screen for so long my eyes watered. That weekend, I bought a burner phone. Yes, I really did. I told myself it was just in case he tried to disappear again, in case I needed a number that wasn't traceable to me. I was still telling myself this wasn't revenge, that it was protection. But deep down, I knew I wasn't looking for closure. I was building a case. They say once you go looking for the truth, you should be ready to lose the life you had before it. I found a private investigator through a Reddit post, one who specialized in emotional scams and soft fraud. I called him, told him only what I had to. He said, "You're not the first, and you won't be the last, but you might be the only one ready to catch him before the damage." That was the first time I cried, because I finally realized this wasn't about heartbreak anymore. It was about being played, used, mimicked. And then came the final fracture. I was cleaning out the closet, not looking for anything, just trying to get rid of things that smelled like him, and behind my winter coats, tucked into the side of an old purse, was a slip of paper, a dry cleaning tag, from an address I didn't recognize. I Googled it. Not a laundromat, a co-working space. I drove there, parked across the street, waited in my car for over an hour, until I saw him. Luke, coming out with a coffee in one hand and his phone in the other, wearing the jacket I bought him, smiling, not at me, at someone else, a woman, brunette. Holding his hand, I couldn't breathe, not from pain, not anymore, from fury. Because I'd just spent 6 months telling myself I was paranoid, that I was the broken one, that maybe I'd pushed him away. But no, he wasn't lost, he wasn't healing, he wasn't confused, he was performing. Again. That night I didn't sleep, I just planned. When you stop hoping they'll explain, and start preparing to expose them, you've crossed a line you don't come back from. I made a list. What I had. Screenshots of texts, photos of him with Amber and me, wearing the same clothes, same dates, financial statements, showing he used my Venmo for multiple shared charges, the voice memo where he said pretending, the PI's report, not yet complete, but already confirming 2 alias names. What I needed, a confession, something that could prove intent, not just misunderstanding, a witness who could speak to his pattern. I texted him the next day. I've been thinking about you. Can we meet? I just want honesty. I won't judge. I promise. He replied, God, Jules, I've been waiting to hear you say that. He thought I was soft again. He thought I was coming back. But I was just setting the table, because liars talk the most when they think you've forgiven them. And I was going to let him talk. We met at a diner, public, neutral, bright enough to make lying harder. I wore my hair down, the way he said he liked it, ordered black coffee and a slice of lemon pie. He smiled like we were picking up where we left off. You look good, he said. I said nothing, just hit record on the app in my pocket. He started slow, said he missed me, said he realized he'd been scared of how real we were. I asked him why he ghosted. He said he didn't, just needed time. I asked who the woman was outside the co-working space. He blinked. What are you talking about? I smiled. You really want to lie again, after everything? His face changed, not all at once, just quieter. Still, like a predator deciding whether to run or maul. Then he sighed. Okay, you want the truth? I nodded. Fine. I'm not who you thought, but you're not either, Julia. You needed me. You just don't want to admit it. I didn't flinch. Just let him keep talking. And he did. He always did. Said he wasn't a bad guy. Said he gave people what they wanted. Said I made him feel safe, and that's rare. He called it connection. I called it manipulation. You weren't just a mark, he said, but I knew you'd fall for me. Girls like you always do. That's when I slid the flash drive across the table. He didn't touch it, just stared. I leaned in. That's every receipt, every text, every email. I know about Amber, about Lacey, about the alias in Seattle. I have a PI. I have 3 women ready to testify. And if you try to disappear, I will burn every bridge behind you. His jaw twitched. You wouldn't. I smiled. Try me. He got up and left. No apology, no drama. Just walked out. Like he'd been caught cheating on a test, not lives. But I didn't chase him, because I wasn't done. That night I sent everything to Amber. She cried on the phone. I sent it to the PI too. He said, with this, we can start a coordinated civil action. I also sent it to 2 more women, found through digital sleuthing. One of them replied, he told me I saved his life. Another, he said I was his soulmate. We created a group chat called It the Script. 4 women, 4 different states, 1 con man. One by one we shared what we'd lost. Time, money, trust, self-esteem, but also our fear. Because now we weren't alone. We were angry, and we were armed. Some people survive the fire, others learn how to hold the match. 3 weeks later, I walked into a courthouse, filed a formal report, not because I thought they'd arrest him, but because I wanted a record, something he couldn't erase. That night, I sat in my apartment, alone, lit 1 candle, poured 1 glass of wine, and deleted the voice memo. The last one he ever sent me. You're the only real thing in my life. Liar. I don't know where Luke is now. Maybe still charming someone else. Maybe already on the run. But I know this. He'll never do it in the dark again. You said you loved me. But love doesn't hollow people out. It doesn't leave women comparing scars in group chats. You thought I'd stay quiet. You should have known better. They say the opposite of love is indifference, but they're wrong. The opposite of love is clarity, and clarity doesn't come with peace. It comes with a matchbook and gasoline. 3 weeks after I watched him walk out of that diner, after I slid that flash drive across the table like a weapon dressed as mercy, I didn't hear from him. Not a call, not a text, nothing. It was almost insulting. Like he'd just moved on to the next girl, next lie, next mark. Like I hadn't even been worth a panic attack. But that's what did it. That silence. It clicked something shut inside me. I wasn't sad anymore. I was sharp. I stopped checking his social media, stopped imagining what he was doing. I already knew. Men like him don't pause. They just reset. Same script, new audience. So I stopped waiting for karma and started planning like karma had my number. I started with names: Amber, Lacey. The woman from Portland. I only knew her by a blurry photo Amber had from a party. I found her through an old event hashtag. Her name was Sienna. When I reached out, she said, "You too?" Like it was a club. A goddamn sorority of the scammed. She had her own heartbreak story. He told her he was finally ready to settle down. She lent him $4,000 to fix his truck. He never paid her back. I started a folder on my laptop. Operation, exit wounds. Inside, screenshots, voicemails, photos, old emails, bank receipts, his love letters. 4 of them, all handwritten. I compared the handwriting to the ones Amber got. Identical. He had templates for everything, even heartbreak. I used to think revenge was dramatic. Now I think it's just a form of documentation. The real turning point wasn't a breakdown. It was a spreadsheet. Amber made it, She color-coded everything. Columns, victim name, timeline, amount of money lost, alias he used, excuse he gave when he left. He was nothing if not consistent. That was his downfall. In the middle of this emotional crime scene, I found something almost funny. He had sent the exact same poem to 3 of us, the one that goes, "You make the chaos feel like music." Except I found out it was a lyric, stolen from an indie artist's Twitter in 2017. Of course, he couldn't even write his own manipulation. I stopped being Julia the girlfriend. I became Julia the architect. I built timelines, printed out receipts, marked dates on a wall calendar like I was tracking a fugitive, which, in a way, I was. But this wasn't just about Luke anymore. This was about warning the next woman before he touched her. This was about control. He used love to isolate me. I was going to use truth to surround him. We started a private Slack group. Just the women. We called it the script, because that's what it was. A script he ran on all of us. It was Amber's idea. Lacey built a password-protected website. Sienna created a form where women could submit their own stories anonymously. I started collecting evidence like it was currency. I wanted everything, even the shame, especially the shame. And then, one night I got a call. A number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. When I listened, the voice made my heart stop. Not Luke, a woman. Breathy, nervous. She said, "Hi, I don't know if you'll hear this in time, but I think he's in Chicago now, and I think he's using your name." That voicemail haunted me. "I think he's in Chicago now, and I think he's using your name." Using my name. Not just a lie, a theft. I'd spent months trying to erase his imprint from my life, and here he was, slipping into mine. Amber pulled his old emails. She found 2 he once forwarded to me. Newsletters, dumb things like TED Talks about vulnerability. Guess what? That same forwarding pattern had started again. Same subject lines, different recipient. From his new Gmail alias, Grweston23. GR. Grant. His real name. I felt the rage hit low, in my ribs. He wasn't hiding anymore. He was recycling. We traced the IP from a newsletter confirmation. It pinged from a co-working space in Lincoln Park, Chicago, the same place where Amber once saw him on Zoom in 22. He was running the same playbook, same co-working space, same city, new woman. I was done reacting. I wanted control. I called the private investigator again, gave him the IPs, the names, the timeline. He said, "You've got enough for a pattern of deception case. It's not fraud in the traditional sense, but it's emotional coercion. Civil court eats that up." We started drafting a civil claim. Lacey suggested we gather character statements from all the women he ghosted or scammed. By week's end, we had 11. 11 women, 5 states, over $64,000 in collective financial loss, countless emotional scars. We weren't crazy, we were evidence. We kept the website quiet for now. Password protected, not public. But we sent links to 3 legal firms, 1 women-led, 1 media-adjacent, 1 in Chicago, the city where he'd started again. Each of them responded within 48 hours. 2 wanted to pursue civil action. 1 offered pro bono work to help draft the class action framework. But that wasn't enough for me. Not yet. I wanted the emotional kill. So I did something even I didn't expect. I emailed him. Just 2 words. "Hello, Grant." He replied that night. "Hey, stranger. Didn't expect to hear from you." I kept it cold, precise. "I heard you're in Chicago. Thought I'd warn you. You're leaving tracks, and we're following." He waited 12 minutes before replying. "Julia, don't start this." But I already had. That night I posted my anonymous story on the Script Project site. I changed some details, but kept the skeleton true. He said I was safe. He said I was the only one. He took my heart, my time, my ideas, then disappeared with pieces of me I didn't know I'd given him. By morning, it had been read over 17,000 times. We weren't invisible anymore. We were loud. Then the biggest twist came. Amber called me. "There's something I didn't tell you." Back when she was with him, he once took a call in the other room, whispered the entire time. She heard one sentence. "She's asking about the girl in the car. You said she was gone." Amber had asked. He shut her down. Now she was wondering, what girl, what car? I felt something twist inside me, a cold bloom of fear. Not everything was about love and theft. Some lies go deeper. Some lies get buried on purpose. What if he didn't just scam people? What if he left something behind that was never meant to be found? It started as a sentence. She's asking about the girl in the car. But it became an obsession, because everything else Luke had done, the lies, the romance scams, the money, they were patterns, predictable, rehearsed. But this was different. I called Amber again, made her repeat it, slowly, like a crime scene witness. It was late. I was half asleep. He stepped out onto the porch, whispering. I only caught that one sentence. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. He was crying afterward. Luke, or Grant, whatever name he was using that week, didn't cry after hurting people. He cried before spinning the next lie. So what made him break character? What made him say, "You said she was gone," like it was supposed to be permanent? There's a difference between a lie and a cover-up. One buys time, the other buries bodies. I dug deeper, not just into Luke's aliases, but into his origin, the real one, and that's where I found it. A juvenile court record, partially sealed, tied to the name Grant Weston, 1997, Illinois. A vehicular incident, details redacted. But the public portion said this: minor was involved in an incident resulting in the death of a 16-year-old female, deemed an accident. No charges filed after settlement with family. Her name was Tara Bell. She was a classmate. I found an old yearbook. Her face? Soft, nervous smile, bangs too short, gone at 16. I called a friend who worked in journalism, gave her a fake pitch. I was researching local court cover-ups, needed old newspaper archives. She pulled a scan from the Springfield Gazette. Front page, 1997. Teen dies after mysterious one-car crash. Driver's identity not released. But buried in a side column, a single sentence. Sources say the driver was a male classmate who fled the scene on foot before returning with parents hours later. I couldn't breathe, because suddenly the whisper made sense. She's asking about the girl in the car. This wasn't a boyfriend who lied for money. This was a boy who learned, very young, that if you act heartbroken enough, you can survive anything, even killing someone. I called Amber, told her what I found. She cried, but she didn't sound surprised. He once told me he'd ruined someone's life as a teenager, and that's why he didn't deserve good things. We realized the scam didn't start with us. It started the moment he learned shame could be disguised as pain. That trauma earns trust, that if you play the victim long enough, you never have to answer for anything. I updated the script project site, quietly, added a hidden page, just for us. The core women. Inside, the newspaper article, the court doc, the redacted police report. We stared at it like a relic, proof of the thing we already felt in our bones. This wasn't about romance anymore. This was a decades-long performance, and we were just his latest audience. He didn't start with us, but we'll be the ones to end it. Tessa, the mother of his child, called the next night. She had something, a voice recording, from 2 years ago. He was drunk, angry, rambling, but one sentence came through, clear as glass. She looked at me like I was a monster, and I left her. I fucking left her. We don't know if he meant Tara or someone else, but we had enough now. Enough to destroy the illusion, not just to cancel him, to unmask him. It didn't happen in court, or with sirens, or some dramatic confrontation in the rain. It happened at 9:36 a.m. on a Wednesday, with a single upload. The script project went public. No passwords, no more locked pages, just a homepage with 11 names, redacted for safety, and one headline that stopped people in their scrolls. He told us all we were the only one. A collective testimony of emotional fraud, identity theft, and systemic deceit. Spanning 8 years, 5 states, and over $64,000 in damages. Below the article was a link to a 10-minute audio file. It was the diner conversation, the one where he said, "Girls like you always fall for me. You weren't just a mark, but yeah, I knew you'd fall." His voice, calm, manipulative, familiar, undeniable. Within 48 hours, the site got over 150,000 unique views. A feminist podcast picked it up. A mid-tier journalist at The Cut emailed me asking for verification. I told her, check the court filings, because yes, we'd filed the civil suit that week and made it searchable. Then came the DMs. Dozens. From women. Some from states we hadn't even checked. I met him in 2019 in Boston. He told me he'd lost a fiancée in a car crash. He borrowed money for therapy and disappeared. By Friday, there were 23 confirmed women, all with different names for him, all with the same story. You called it revenge. I call it a public service announcement. The Instagram handle went live, at The Script Project. We didn't post selfies, no trauma bait, just quotes, just receipts, just quiet, devastating truth. Then it happened. A viral TikTok. Someone with 600K followers did a deep dive, read parts of the site aloud, played a snippet of the audio, cried while talking about her own toxic ex. The comments exploded. This is psychological abuse. He's a narcissist predator. What kind of man does this to dozens of women? Burn it down, Julia. And in the middle of the storm, he messaged me, from a new number. You really think this makes you look good? I stared at the screen, laughed, and typed back, "No, Grant, it makes you look real." He sent one final message, a voice note, just breathing for 10 seconds, then a whisper, "I hope you feel better now." I saved it, then forwarded it to the podcast team covering our story. They used it in the closing credits of their next episode. And just like that, his story wasn't just ours anymore. It belonged to everyone who'd ever been lied to, gaslit, used, ghosted, and made to feel crazy for asking questions. We weren't angry anymore. We were architects. We didn't get money back. There was no courtroom applause, no arrest. But his reputation, shattered. His aliases were exposed. His face, blurred but unmistakable, shared on every thread warning women about love bombers and scam artists. The man who once said, "I give people what they want," was now the warning label women sent to each other in group chats. He built the lie. We built the bonfire. No one ever teaches you what to do after revenge. They show you how to scream, how to hunt, how to destroy, but not how to breathe when it's all done, not how to sit in the quiet and realize there's no more fight. Just you, and the silence you earned. It's been 3 months since the script project went public. Grant, Luke, whatever name he's hiding under now, has vanished from every platform. But we still get pings. Women checking in. Women still figuring out that what happened to them wasn't just heartbreak. It was a performance. The class action suit is moving slowly. Amber's lawyer says it might take a year, maybe longer. But I'm not waiting for a courtroom to give me closure. I already took it. Forgiveness is a myth for men like him. I didn't forgive. I remembered. I documented. And I warned the next woman before he could touch her. I've moved cities, not to hide, but to start. I took a job that pays less, but feels real. I don't flinch when people ask about my last relationship. Sometimes I even tell them, not the whole thing, not the spreadsheet or the court documents, just this. He taught me to love carefully. I taught him what happens when you lie to a woman who writes things down. One night I checked the site traffic. Just curiosity, over 1.2 million visits, hundreds of comments, dozens of new submissions. We didn't just expose a man, we built a mirror, and thousands of women looked into it and said, "That was me too." We never needed him to say sorry. We just needed each other to say, "I believe you. You're not crazy. Let's get to work." Tessa, the mother of his child, told me she finally blocked him, changed her number, got a custody agreement on file. She said, "I used to think I had to protect my daughter from the truth. Now I think I need to raise her with it." Lacey went on a podcast. Amber started law school. Sienna's in therapy, but she's laughing again. And me? I write things down. Not to remember him, but to remember me. Before I gave him power, before I needed answers, before I thought staying quiet was safer than asking. He didn't break me. He just showed me where the cracks were. And I filled them with fire. I'm not healed, but I'm free. And I've learned that sometimes freedom looks like your phone not buzzing, your heart not spiraling, your truth, posted, printed, and undeniable. The last thing I ever wrote to him was a sentence I never sent. I left it in my notes app. It just said, "You wanted me to stay quiet. You should have known better."